RPG ideas for Vampire the Masquerade, The Haunted Hotel.
So, Dwight, I know you were up in Estes Park last week.
Actually, yesterday.
Yeah, which is where the Shining Hotel is.
Right, the Stanley Hotel, which is called the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place. So while I was there, and because in the next couple of weeks we're going to be running, or I'll be running a Vampire the Masquerade game in one of our groups, I've just been thinking and just kind of looking at all sorts of idea fodder for Vampire the Masquerade in general.
Yes.
And so here's one that I've kind of come up with just on the fly. I won't use this for our game, but I thought it'd be really interesting for other people to kind of see how I think and think about things. So what I was looking at is the players are all playing probably the last generation of vampires or really close to it, right? You normally don't play a Vampire the Masquerade with overly powerful characters. So they're playing new vampires, and there's this old hotel in the mountains that's been there probably since the founding of America, so roughly 200 plus years ago. And anybody that goes up there and stays during certain parts of the year is just missing. They're never seen from again. And recently there was an elder vampire, like maybe, I don't know, maybe like, maybe not that elder, but like...
7th gen would be enough.
Yeah, maybe 7th, maybe even something as early as like 9th or something, as late as 9th generation goes away. Somebody that was big and powerful for the city has just kind of disappeared. And it's causing a power vacuum, and maybe the prince is like, I'm going to send some people up to see what's going on because I don't want to deal with this power vacuum, right? And so your players are sent because, frankly, you're expendable, right? New guy in the block can go get the crap jobs. And so when they arrive, there appears to literally be nothing out of the ordinary. And this place is pretty much empty. Like, no one goes up there anymore. It's got it's haunted. It's just not really attended well anymore. It's not an active hotel. But once they're sitting there, because obviously the vampires have to move after dark.
Yes.
So they kind of get close to there the night before, and then they kind of hunker down. And then the next night they wake up and they get there right around, I don't know, maybe an hour after sundown. Nothing's going on. They search the whole place. There's nothing there. But once the clock strikes 11 p.m., that's when everything goes nuts. And so kind of like in the movie The Shining, there's like certain things where, you know, Jack Nicholson's character, if you saw the movie, although I think the guy's name was Jack in the book too. But anyway, his character would start seeing things where no one else would start seeing things. And eventually people would start seeing other things too. But he was the one interacting with the hotel and seeing things the most. So what I was thinking is that suddenly there's this hotel that's just suddenly full of guests at 11 o'clock. So on the 11th dong of this old grandfather clock, like all the cobwebs are gone, all the lights are turned on, everyone's dancing, everyone's there, and it's just like this total shock.
Like it would be at the height of the hotel's running.
Yeah, like it was exactly like the best night, like opening night or the biggest night ever. Like they're all there. And the guests are interacting with the vampires. They know their names. They're not afraid of them being vampires, but like they're interacting with them as if they've always just been there.
Yes.
Right? It's like, which is just bizarre, obviously. And so the concept here is that, as they're going through and looking at stuff, you can have them start doing checks, and it'll be really obvious that there are people who are dressed as if they were from 200 years ago, and then there's a couple of people, including one of the vampire elders, there, who's dressed as if he was just from recently.
Yeah.
And there's other people like, homeless people that have like gone in there and now they've been trapped and they're just, they're looking raggedy, but no one treats them as if they're homeless.
Squatters would be there too.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the one nice part about that hotel is that it like cleans itself up, like, but what I'm thinking here is what happens is it's going all the way back to 200 years ago, and there's a lot more of those people at the 200 year mark, and then there's like a handful of people almost every couple decades or something like that. So eventually the players will meet this shade, and he looks totally different. Like he's not fully present. Like everyone else looks like they're fully there, but this guy looks like he's more of a ghost than he is anything else. But he's the shade of an archmage, and so. The Archmage was kind of your introduction into this. So why an Archmage?
Well, so they have all this powerful magic that they're basically gods.
Right.
But they're never really used beyond, you can be really powerful eventually, which you never hit that. So if you have that much magic, you're not necessarily going to be ultra careful with how you use that magic, so you would have some residual magic that you've accidentally left over.
Exactly. So what we're thinking here is this archmage transcended the plane about 200 plus years ago or whatever, and he did it on this night. And so doing, he kind of, like, his spell had a little bit of a, I don't know, like a recoil, if you will. And the recoil is that every full moon, for the period that the moon is full, so what is that, like 2 or 3 days or whatever, every time from 11 until sunrise, during those 3 days of the full moon cycle, everything kind of goes back into this, and the souls and the energy that was trapped in this place that he used to kind of transcend out is stuck. And anyone that gets in here and doesn't quite get out is also stuck. And so now this day is just literally repeating itself every full moon cycle, every month that it happens in for the last 200 years. And so that's why no one's ever here anymore, because of the disappearances and those sorts of things. And the archmage, like the reason why the like that vampire showed up, because you're like, why would he show up? The reason why that vampire showed up was because he was hoping to kind of like steal some magic. Like, I would make him a Tremere. Like, he's interested, and he's like, oh, I've heard about this, and I used to be, you know, our type used to be mages. We should be able to figure out what was going on here. Maybe we can use it. Well, in reality, he got caught. And so now the players only have a couple of days to free themselves. Otherwise, they will be trapped here forever. Because if you're here on that last night, your soul or your body or whatever, you know, the thing that represents you is now stuck here for all time. And you're interwoven into the tapestry that is that past, and you have no more free will in it. And so here's where the DM could figure out exactly how this worked. And so I'll say that the hotel was built in this really elaborately weird pattern, and not like a normal hotel where it's just like a brick with some outbuildings. It's built in this weird fancy shape. Well, anyone that knows magic would know that it's built in a symbol that actually was the Archmage's name, like that he used to call himself. Like, he was kind of like Prince. He's like the little symbol. And so he built the symbol after his name, which then it invoked like true name magic, which, you know, all these other fun things that he was doing to kind of move himself out of this plane so that he could build himself like a place in a different plane of existence and live forever. And so if they can figure out a way of breaking that, it could be as simple as like they figure out where on the pattern his name is, and if they could cut a part of the hotel off, or maybe if they start ripping up the floor, like the carpeting on the floor, they'll see that there are just magical runes etched across every square surface of that's not shown, but it's like every, you know, if there's a painting, if they were to open up the painting or pull the paint off the wall, they would actually see all these magical runes and stuff that he used in order to transcend. So if they could obliterate enough of those, they might be able to get themselves out. Or, as the DM, you might have, well, in this case, a storyteller, since it's vampire, but as a storyteller, you might have a different way of doing it, or let your players come up with a way that's totally unreasonable, but why not? Let them get out of it on their own. So in that regard, I think we've covered some ideas that you could use in your next vampire game. Also, if you wanted to do it, you could adapt it to something else pretty easily, I think. Anything that has magic in a kind of a modern day setting, you could easily adapt this to. So hopefully it's been really helpful, and we'll see you the next time.